This is Big D and Shade, or DK and Shade for TacoYaki Anime.
Yo!
And welcome back to another episode of Much to Ketchup. Today, we're going to be talking about the spring anime of 2020, our initial thoughts.
And I wish I had more thoughts, but again, as we discussed in the previous episode, Funimation is Funimation.
Yeah.
So I unfortunately only have 3 shows because that's what I could watch off of Crunchyroll of the ones I wanted to watch. So
I have a solution for that.
okay.
I'll remedy that after the stream. And then also, some of the shows that we were planning on talking about got delayed because of the whole worldwide crisis.
Correct. Yeah,
So,
Crunchyroll is at least nice enough to show that, and had like a chart listing at one point of all the animes for this season that had been delayed. Yes. And I don't know if that carried on to next season, or they just said that all the seasons that other shows that were going to be for this season are now on next season. I can't remember for sure.
Yeah, I know some that were like TBA, like they don't know when they will resume. And then there are some that just got pushed back a season. Like Sword Art Online got pushed back a season. Then Snafu also got pushed back a season. Well, I think Snafu is undetermined. And then there was another show that got pushed back a season that I know. But yeah, so things are all topsy-turvy.
A little bit.
Also, if you notice a little bit of stutter in the stream, I have had a disaster of a week. It is not as much of a disaster as a lot of people out there are having, and I do feel for those people. But I feel that some things are relative. So as far as putting on the show and everything, I've had a bunch of technical issues. If anybody was there with Much to Ketchup yesterday, you know that the stream was stuttery, and it is still continuing on. I don't know exactly how to fix it. I will restart my modem again and restart the computers and try to see if that fixes it. I don't know if it's another one of those things where it'll just last for a month and then all of a sudden fix itself. But
I mean, it could also be the case of the fact of so many people are now using their online more frequently than what they used to. So yes, internet is now being utilized a great deal more, and that's causing the issues as well. So I've heard that being said around quite a few times.
Yes. So yeah, also for me, a little story. What was it? Since maybe 2006 or 2007, after I got back into anime, not really full. Got back serious with anime. I don't know how to explain it, but I got a projector because I saw one where I used to work, and it was In Focus, I think it was the brand, and I looked it up, and I was like, "This is really cool." So back then, like post college or post 0.5 of college, I had disposable income because I was back at home with my mom, and I looked up that model of the projector because back then I was like getting into computers and all that kind of stuff too, and I found it and I was like, oh, it's only like a couple $100. I'm like, I got that. I got disposable income back then, 10 years ago, and I got one, and ever since then, back in 2000, like 13 years or so, I've always been watching anime off of a projector, whether it's a projector that's like sitting on my desk or something like that and pointed at a wall, or like how it is now where I have my projector mounted on the ceiling, and one of my best friends from back in those days bought me a screen for my birthday, and I never actually installed it until like maybe halfway during the life of this show, like 2 years into the show. if you look at some of the early episodes, you'll notice that they're like in the corner, there's nothing here, and then all of a sudden there'll be like the screen. So, and every now also if you can catch it in one of the episodes, we'll be talking about a show, and then the projector will just turn on, and you'll see like little icons of apps and stuff like that in the corner. Also, projector has died. I don't know what's wrong with it. I need to figure out how to get it off the ceiling because somebody helped me install it, and hopefully I can revive it. It's kind of an off-brand, so hopefully I can get one that's a decent one that has replaceable parts that I can easily get access to. I won't be able to get it anytime soon because just like with everything else, certain things are strained, like delivery times for online orders, and trying to find one in a electronics store may be hard. So, what I've done is Ray was a little bit mad at first, but then she joined in on the fun, and I've been watching anime on a TV for the first time in like 13 years.
Wow.
And yeah, she actually liked a few of the shows. Most of them she fell asleep on, but there was a few that she actually stood awake and was like laughing along with me. So that was actually a pretty cool experience. So I was actually able to keep up with shows and stuff. So
Nice.
I have 8 for today, and yeah. Oh my god! And I haven't talked this much in a long time. So yeah. So hopefully in the next episode we'll be able to check out all the shows together. Cool. All right. The first show we're going to be talking about is Apare Ranman.
Which one was this one? waiting for the stream to catch up for the freaking.
Yeah.
I almost had it going. Wait, no, it's still showing me. No.
So, one thing that I noticed when I was streaming, I think if you refresh the stream, then it'll sync back up to at that moment. Otherwise, it'll just slowly get farther and farther delayed. I'm recording it locally this episode, so I'll be able to upload that video to the VODs channel, and I might be able to upload. Well, if I upload it to the Twitch channel, it'll be there just professionally. But yeah, it's if you look up AnyChart, then
yeah, I was still waiting for it. God dang it!
yeah.
Now I feel that.
So
this one. Okay, now I know which one you're talking about.
yes,
This is the one I didn't see, but I know something about because I did see some clips about it. It definitely looked interesting.
Yes. So this show is made by PA Works. We didn't talk about this one in the upcoming episode. I don't know when it got put on the site, or I didn't talk about it because it didn't have a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
But I love PA Works. All of their stuff is gorgeous. The shows may not be interesting, but the animation is always top notch. So basically, from the opening scene, this show is wacky races. It started out at the start line of a race, and they're talking, and you get a cut to each of the characters in the race, and it's just like wacky races where there's like basically wacky races was a bunch of old school cartoons, and they took the main characters out of all those cartoons and their vehicles and put them into a race. So for this show, every car and every character had a completely different style, and this show is exactly the same.
So
all the characters
about a race.
I think it builds towards a race.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those things where it's like they start out at like a scene later on in the show, and then they cut to like 1 year before or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So basically, the characters in the show, actually, I've only seen one episode of this show, and very interesting. I, I'm unsure if I like Ranman because he's one of those like kind of like an outcast character where he like I do well not really sassy. I do what I want, but he's like just he does whatever he wants. He doesn't care about what anybody else says, and it's interesting to see like that contrast between everybody else in society who does things a certain way, and expectations are put upon other characters. You have to like do what's required of your role and all that kind of stuff. And you have a character who like defies all of that. That's always an interesting thing, but I don't know because he's so deadpan. I don't know like how I feel about the main character. The guy that's right behind him in the what is what is that called? There's a bunch of shows that it's like the guy with the swords and he's wearing that suit. It's not Shinobu. It's shit. I cannot think of the name.
Guy with swords and suit? What?
Yeah, he's a samurai, and like there's a.
Are you talking about it from One Piece, or is it from a video game, or?
No, the guy that's in the picture. Shin something. I can't remember the name, but.
So yeah, the one who's in the background in the blue katana or the.
Yes.
I mean, he looks like just a samurai to me.
Yes, that's his brother.
Yeah, I think I vaguely remember seeing, because he was supposed to be the one to go pick him up, and then he got put in jail, and it got bored when the jailers tried to accost him and walked out, basically.
Yeah, he just picked the lock and just left. He's like, I'm going home, guys.
Yeah. He's like, you're boring me. I have better things to do than be here with you at all, so bye.
And I think
it was just like one clip that I remember seeing from it, and that was what that whole clip entailed.
Okay.
So
yeah,
it was one of those like the only things I've been able to see from the shows that I could not watch because they're on Funimation. I saw clips from YouTube where people had been like, "Oh, this current anime has this going on with it," and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. I wish I could watch it." But yeah, it seemed like his father was more annoyed with him than anything else because of his attitude and the fact that he's like all sciencey and wanted him to get away from all that and be more traditional.
He's kind of like disrespecting like the whole like. I don't like because it's that time era that I don't like follow that much, but he's like higher up and like he's above like the regular citizen, and like there's like a hierarchy there, and the son's supposed to follow that hierarchy. He's like, I don't care, I'll do what I want, and he just does whatever, and that kind of the father feels disrespected, so he's like, well, if he's like, he did something and I threw him in jail. So if he happens to get killed by one of those criminals in there, then oh well. Like just to not get in trouble for like
basically killing his own son.
Yeah. So
his own son to die. Yeah.
Yeah. So then basically his older brother got put in the position of caretaker of his younger brother. And because some people are after the younger brother, they end up like kind of escaping. Like the older brother's trying to protect his younger brother, but then his younger brother's like, I'm leaving, and they get in this huge mishap. So now they're like gone. But yeah, it's interesting so far.
The animation style looks really good.
Oh yes.
I mean, I did note that. So
yeah, PA works is amazing. Let's see. Do I like the characters so far? I hate that everybody is so far like the people that you spent time with are the younger brother and then the family, and everybody's all, and then I guess the people who are affected by the family, because everybody's all like, that kid's always causing trouble, and everybody's all like formal in their roles and everything, and he's like, oh, he should be doing this, and how come he's not doing that? And it's just like,
Just be like, let him do what the hell he wants to do.
yeah, I'm like, y'all should try to understand him, because
well, but see, in that time frame, that was definitely not the way to go about things. So yeah. I get where they're coming from on that.
Yes.
But, you know, that's like taking someone in our time frame who's used to the way our thing, even if you were taking someone directly from Japan who lives in our time frame, they might understand where they're coming from in that time frame, but it would still be a situation where they would probably be doing things that would seem disrespectful, but only because that's not how you do things anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so I get that as well, which is why I'm like, can we go somewhere else?
Can we ignore the family because they suck?
Yeah, I'm like, this is 100% the time period. I'm like, too stiff, too many rules, too much war, too much hierarchy. I'm like, And he's like, okay, I'm gonna take a steamboat. I'm like, okay, let's go on the steamboat. That's gonna be fun. So yeah, as far as the characters, I think I like the older brother because he fits well within like the whole hierarchy and everything, except he has to interact with the younger brother, and he seems like the most likely to like be the bridge between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure when they arrive wherever they're gonna be, he's like, you're gonna see a change. You're gonna see the younger brother kind of gain a respect of, maybe gain a respect for like the how his parents feel and brother feels and family and all that kind of stuff, or he's just gonna, he's like, you should be your own person, and the older brother's gonna change a little bit.
I think in this venture, it more than likely will come down to the older brother kind of changing. It kind of sounds like both sides more or less need to kind of do a little bit of a. Both sides are kind of taking and no sides giving, and both sides need to be in more of a position of giving and taking. Not to say that the younger brother is necessarily wrong in what he's doing, because it's what he wants to do. It's just his approach to it is probably not the greatest.
Yeah.
If he were to actually explain to his family, like, the benefits and what this would potentially mean to them, because I think honestly they're so stuck in their ways that what he is doing, what he's trying to do, they just can't see the benefits to, because they don't understand what he's trying to do.
Yeah, and I can also see how he's kind of like maybe given up on trying to explain it. Like maybe at the beginning he was trying, and I saw a glimpse of that where he kind of gave up, because I feel like he knows that his brother is like one of the most likely people to kind of like understand him. But when he was talking about something, he was like, oh yeah, and then I'm gonna do this, and the brother's like, foolish. Here are the reasons why you're wrong. And he's like, you're just like them. And then he just went about what he was doing. And I'm like, okay, I see what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, so in that situation, it's more he has to actually like show results.
Yeah.
It's like if he actually shows the actual like all the words in the world apparently are just going to go deaf upon his family anyways, but if you actually show them that what you are trying to accomplish will in fact actually work, and it does, then they're going to be paying more attention to you.
Okay.
I feel like.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm just talking. I mean, this is anime. I'm discussing more of like actual practical human emotions and guidance and misgivings, and that does not always translate in that sort of way, because all of a sudden we could start dealing with magical fairies and all over the place. And Now all of a sudden we're in some far-flung land and some far off, and you're like, wait, where did all this come from? Why are we? No, 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 no. So, but we'll see.
Will I continue the show? Absolutely. Oh my God, this is so good. And
I'd like to. I'd like to be a part of it.
And then are there any standout moments?
The time that he broke out of jail, because that's
yes, that was actually a very interesting moment because it's one of those moments where like somebody tries to mess with his stuff and he's like, "Could you move?" And he's like, "Man, make me." And he's like, "Okay." Bam! He's like, "Ah!" And he's like,
I told you I was gonna move you. Why are you looking at me like I am the crazy one here or something?
So, yeah, that was one of the more amusing moments. But I will get it set up so we can both check the rest of this show out because it is a good one. All right. The next show we're going to be talking about is Clip Deer.
Another show I would love to be watching right now. And I have actually seen clips of this one as well. This show looked really freaking interesting.
I love the character design in this show. I love the art design in this show. Pine Jam. What else have you done? I can't remember what we looked at before, but I very, very much like this art style. They've done Just Because, they've done Gamers. Not very many. Okay, and this style seems to be different than the other ones that they've done. So
yeah, they I think I remember seeing that they really haven't done any necessary like standout moments of anything, I think. Yeah. So I think this is like their first big breakout one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is a very good one. It is not as, I guess, it's not as dark as I thought it was going to be from the trailer. And I don't know. It's like all of my expectations were like completely shifted. So,
like, I mean, again, I've only watched clips of it, but it definitely, from what I've seen, it was definitely one of those like, oh my God, what the hell is going on moments. I mean, and I definitely, so far, I think I feel extremely sorry for the kid.
okay.
Turns into a beast so far. Kind of seems like he gets the raw end of the deal a lot of times.
I'm not sure what you've seen, but I guess if you've seen, or at least I don't know if it's from different episodes or.
So, I mean, so far what I've seen, it seems like the girl that he ends up meeting basically kind of uses him.
Yes.
And blackmails him into revealing his secret, in which he doesn't even know how he becomes what he becomes or why he becomes what he becomes.
Yeah,
he
okay,
just becomes it.
Yes.
And I'm looking at it going, well, shit, if he has no control over it and has no reason, doesn't know why it's happening, stop being a freaking a-hole about it, Like, leave him alone. Yes. Leave Brittany alone. I'm like, that's just mean. Why you do that, But I mean, it is what it is. It's the plot's point of the story. Yeah. And I guess it kind of seems like she's, I mean, yeah, it seems like she's using him, but it also seems like she's kind of helping him, I guess, in a way, sort of.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if I would say it that way, but it kind of seems that way, I guess.
Yeah. So I've only seen one episode so far, and from that, it looks like, especially like you said, that he's she is doing. I guess, in a way, she's doing him a favor. Um, Without saying too much, I understand why. Um, uh, One, I don't know what her complete motives are.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know why she was in the situation with the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I know that she's very, very sneaky, and um, I do know that she sees him as a total pushover, and she can do whatever she wants.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh yeah, no, I mean, even at the point where I was watching, at least the clips I was watching, it seemed like it was later on in the series, but at the same time, it seemed like she again was just, even though she seemed like she changed a little bit in the way that she was treating him. She also seems like she was not really caring at all about what happened in regards to that. She just
yeah,
kind of did whatever she wanted to do, and that was just the way it was.
yeah,
If it
and I
helped,
want
if it helped him, that was more of like a byproduct, and that was
yeah,
just like oh yay, it helped him kind of thing, you know.
yes, yes, and I definitely want to see like what her motive is. Normally, there's like a villain type character who's like always causing trouble, and depending on how that character is executed, you're like, oh my god, someone kill him. There's no redeeming aspects of him ever. Or you're like, why are they so troubled? Like, what happened? What happened to you?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like she's way more on the what happened to you side. And I want to know what it is so then I can somewhat justify like her behavior, because so far everything's like there's one thing that she did in the first episode, and I'm like, why would you do that? What if it didn't go the way you thought?
Mm-hmm.
Do you normally just do that to people? I'm like, come on. So there's certain things that I just like, even like, no matter what happened to her, like those actions are not like you can't go back from that.
Mm-hmm.
But if she's really, really smart and can really, really read people, then depending on what she went through, I'm just in the dark and she knows what she's doing, which is scary because I'm like the unknown. I'm like, she's such an unknown that I'm like, I don't like it. I need to get more info. I need more intel on her because I don't trust her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as far as the guy goes, I get him like already. Um, he needs a dose of a tiny dose of what she's giving him, so he can become like more of a complete person, but not the full like drowning that he's happening right now.
Yeah, that definitely seemed like that was the case. Like she just again, it seemed like she kind of helps him, but not really to the extent that it would be more towards her benefit than it is towards hers.
Yeah. So
So,
um, out of everything that's happening so far, I really, really like this show.
mm,
There, as far as all the characters go, um, they're I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if they're like being really efficient with how they're like developing the characters.
mhm.
Um, there's one character that I was like, I don't know if you're just acting like that
Are you
or
are you current on this, by the way?
no. I
Okay.
always saw like one episode of everything.
Okay.
Um, like
So, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying one of the main character's friends, like
Mm-hmm.
the shorter girl. Um, I'm curious to find out more about her because she seems smart, but I don't know if she's just like super bubbly or she was just acting bubbly in front of like certain people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to find out more about her. And then yeah, there's like a lot of things that got introduced right at the end of the episode. I'm like, so I'm very excited to see more.
I totally want to see more of this. I really do. I will say, and again, this is kind of one of those situations like I kind of know certain things just because I saw that kind of. I will say she's looking for somebody.
Okay.
And she's looking for them because they did something bad.
Okay.
So, and so I kind of see where her justification for her attitude and her demeanor comes from. But again, I also look at the way she treats him and how she treats him, and I'm like, dude, can you just get away from her? You know?
Yeah.
Like, can you just like, I don't know, tell her to fuck off and go away?
Yeah.
Maybe find her. Well, but see, it's like I know he's tried certain things, and it doesn't matter. Like I'm pretty sure he's tried to get the phone back from her, and it doesn't matter. Like she's already made backups, or she's already done this, that, and the other thing with it, and she like frazzles him and confuses him because she already knows how to push his buttons.
Yeah.
Like she already knows. So there's no good way for him to be able to catch back up with that, I feel like.
Yeah, I think for the duration that we're gonna spend with them, like he's
essentially
she basically has him by the balls.
She's puppeteering him essentially because he's not going to be able to do anything about it. I mean, and you know, it's sad, but at the same time, like I get it. So I don't know. It's a weird situation, and yeah, I think where I think he also figures out why he is the way he is.
Okay.
So it does seem like that is going to be something that will be like they're not keeping that on the back burner kind of thing.
Okay, that's cool. One thing that's kind of relationship reminds me of, it's not the whole hostage situation, but Shinji Ikari and Asuka, where like there was this tension that built up, and at one point in Evangelion, he like snapped and like started strangling her.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like similar tension is building up here. Just from the small little bits that I've seen.
Depending upon where that one episode I was in is gonna relay in, I don't know if he's gonna be able to. I really don't. So I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
If that's the way they're gonna go with it, I'm totally fine with that. Because I mean, again, no matter what your justification is, and no matter what the reasoning behind it is, even if it's like an insanely good one, using and manipulating somebody to that extent is not acceptable.
Yeah.
Especially when what it is that's happening to them is so surreal and they have no control over it.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be different if maybe he had control over it.
Yeah.
And I mean, and to some small fracture of degree, he does, but he always ends up changing into that mascot beast-looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. And again, I really want to see where it's going to go because I think that the way that they set everything up, I'm like, it's a different take on something. I don't even know if I would necessarily like the relationship between the two. Sure, you could describe it as like Shinji and Asuka from Evangelion, but the way all this came about, I don't necessarily know if I could even compare it to anything else. This might be its own kind of thing.
Okay.
So yeah, it's interesting. Good. Love to watch it.
Yeah. Will it continue? Yes. Standout moments. The one thing that made me really, really mad, the first time she tried to give him his phone, I was pissed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I actually saw that part, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh my
God. And then
I saw it coming. I'm like, why did she put it there? Oh my God. Dude, don't. Oh my God, you're an idiot. What the fuck? Why are you doing this to people?
You get to a point where it's like you don't have a choice. It's like she manipulated things to a point where she knew how he was going to react and what he would do.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's paranoid about this. Obviously he's freaked out by it. So he'll do anything and everything he possibly can once he realizes somebody knows the potential for his secret. Oh, he's going to do anything in his power in order to make that go away.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to be some sort of like laboratory experiment or some sort of like, ostracized because of something he himself has no way of controlling. I mean, again, that's what I said. I feel sorry for the dude, and I see where he comes from, and I hope things work out for him in the end. I really do, because his sort of personality, I'm just like, oh man, I feel for you. But I mean, we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I think the main point of what she's trying to do is going to come out, and I don't know if he makes such an impression upon her, she may just let bygones be bygones and just be like, I deleted the photo. I'm never going to speak of this ever again. You help me, da 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 da, and then this is what's going to be. So, but I don't know.
Okay.
So,
everybody watch this one. It's good.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
The next show we're going to be talking about is Ascendance of a Bookworm Season 2.
Now, did you catch up on the original? No.
I started, and then the projector died. And then I tried to figure out something to do. And then I was going to watch it on this computer and just sit in this chair for like 6 hours. And I'm like, this is not comfortable. So then I tried to do other stuff. And then as I was moving things into place, I was like, I got a TV in the other room. So,
I could just use that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've watched the first 2 episodes. Have you even watched anything from this one or no? Because I would think that just because you haven't seen,
I was trying.
I would think that you would be more reluctant to actually watch this one just because you haven't seen anything. Like you want to catch up on it because it literally starts off right after events of the first season.
So a week ago, when the projector was working, I started. I was like, okay, we got Sword Art, we got Snafu, and we got Ascendance of a Bookworm. I'm gonna watch them in that order. I started on Thursday. I started watching some Snafu. I'm like, okay, cool. I think I'm like 3 episodes from finishing. 3 episodes, and then I started looking, and I'm like, okay, well, it looks like Snafu got delayed. Okay, so I'm not gonna watch that. And then it looks like Sword Art got delayed. Okay, I'm gonna start that after the show. Let me see what other shows I have to go. Okay, cool. I only have 3 episodes left on Snafu, so let me just finish that one. And I started it, and 5 minutes in, the projector broke, and I'm like, oh no. I was gonna catch up for once. No,
I was gonna be on time. No, don't do this. No. That's such a sad story. Yeah. Okay, so again, this show. I think originally you watched this show when it came out, the season it came out in.
Yes, all the wood.
And I didn't. And I think at the end of that last season, you hadn't watched anything, but I grew curious about it, and I didn't have anything else that I was necessarily deeply engrossed in or watching. So I decided to go ahead and just watch it. And I will say, this show is really cool. I mean, it's very deep. It has a lot of complexity to it, a lot more than I originally thought it would. So I'm very curious how they're going to proceed on this. Not because I think there's going to be something wrong with it, but I think that just because I want to see how the progression is going to eventually end up. Because it does have a definite progression. And I think that it's going to be ending in some very interesting points. I like the relationships that she has made, and I see that those continue. Her friend, um, and her, I guess, business associate, if you could call it that, that definitely help her out. It's again, it's very interesting to see. I don't know what else to say other if I'm not necessarily trying to spoil anything other than if you haven't watched this, if you're into isekais, I would say do yourself a favor and watch this. Um, it's not as much action oriented, so if that's what you're expecting, move on because you're not going to enjoy this one. But if you're like the whole transported to a different world and you like some deeper story elements where they're discussing things in a way that you would not necessarily think of them in that such certain way, then I would highly recommend the show. So, you know, that's all I could say necessarily. So,
Okay.
I wish I could say more, but you haven't watched the first season yet. So, I don't. There is literally two big moments that happen in this series, and one of them happens at the very end. And so I don't want, and that's kind of where they left off from. So it's like I don't want to spoil any of that for you. So I'm like,
I'll watch it in the living room now.
So yep, no, good stuff all around. I love the characters. I love the animation. Everyone is very much, the main characters. Mine is very much endearing to you. I think as a whole, she's trying her best in a world that she was never born into, and is trying to figure out what she can do in the time that she has. So, and she's trying to help and benefit the people that she cares about around her.
The next show we're going to be talking about is Kami no To, Tower of God.
Are you current on this one, or you just watched the first episode?
I just watched the first episode and everything.
I have literally just watched the first episode as well, so we're on the same page on that one. I started the second episode, but it was to a point where I probably shouldn't have because I was too tired and I ended up falling asleep. Not to say that the show's bad, because it's not in any way, stretch of the form. I like that this is from Crunchyroll.
Yes.
Crunchyroll has backed this anime.
Yes.
This is from their production. This is the reason why when we originally went to go see this and we were discussing it when it was first hinted at, that we couldn't find a studio for it because it's Crunchyroll's doing it. And I think they're doing an amazing job because, I mean, I don't know about you or whatnot, but I mean, I do watch a lot of YouTube, and like most of out of all the videos I watch, like at least 4 or 5 times in a day, a Crunchyroll ad will come up with Tower of God being played. I know they cater to the person's YouTube who you're watching, but at the same time, I do appreciate the fact that they at least seem to me like they're pushing this a bit. So, because I want to see this succeed. I think there's a lot of potential here. I think that the story elements, there's nothing necessarily, and I'm being very broad on this because I know there's a manga or web series on this, and I know that I've only watched the first episode and part of the second, but the story elements by themselves do not seem to be anything amazing. If you ever break it down to its very basic core of what this is a boy rescuing a girl. Essentially what it is. She knows, or at least has been told, he knows that she has gone into this tower, and he's now trying to follow after her to save her and bring her back. I mean, and if you break it down to this very, very simple core, that's where we're at. But there are elements that they throw into this that are very intriguing, and there are characters that they throw into this that are also very intriguing. You can tell that there is a lot of lore that has been put into this, which I appreciate the crap out of. And they're not necessarily throwing it in your face either. They're giving you subtle hints that there is some lore behind this. And you don't know everything, but we're kind of sprinkling it in here as we go, kind of thing. And I appreciate that a lot. That just makes me, as the viewer, want to be like, tell me more, let me know what is going on, what is happening. I gotta know, instead of just trying to use everything from based upon what everyone else already knows or what everyone's already done. So even though the story element itself seems to be a fairly run-of-the-mill, everything else regarding this is anything but. Animation wise, again, I mean, because I can say that the story elements are really cool and that the lore and everything behind it is really good, but that's not, I mean, you could have read the web comic and found that out, because that's just what it's based upon. And as far as I know from people I've talked with, it's doing a pretty decent job of going along with that as well. So but the animation, I think, is also top notch. I think Crunchyroll has done. I mean, they're putting their best foot forward with this. I feel. I think they're like, you know what, because this is a big risk. This is a huge risk for them. If things don't follow through with this, I mean, who knows where we're gonna end up with this series? But I hope, and my sincere hope to this is that things not only are as good as they are with them, but it accelerates even further because I want to see some other web comics be made into animations as well. I think there's a lot of people out there that are not part of these big name publishers for mangas who put their heart and soul into these projects and do an amazing job. And I think to be able to have their work be displayed in such a manner is awesome. And I hope to see more of that. So, characters are great. I'm loving the story. I'm loving the world that we're in. And I'm wanting to see more. I mean, I don't know necessarily as far as my end what else I could say about that because, I mean, again, I've only watched one episode and part of the second one, but again, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many things. I'm just like, oh, what is this tower? Why are we going up this? Who are these people? Why was he like underground in some sort of cave system and she rescued him from it? Why is she, and the only reason why that she's going up to the tower is that she wants to see stars again? Where are the stars? Where did they go? What is happening in this world? You know what I mean? I'm like, mind blown, but it intrigues you that much more. So,
yeah. This show gives me a very old school storytelling feel.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of like the animated, like a little bit of Fantasia mixed with like animated Lord of the Rings. Like it's this really very interesting style that like completely takes me to another world. A lot of modern animation doesn't pull me into their own like. There are some great like the last show we talked about, Gleipnir, like that show pulled me in. I was there with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Recreators, I was there. Like there are a lot of shows that
I think in that regards, though, you were there because they kind of tied it into the real world and situations like that. Like you actually, even though this kid was turned into this beast of mascot looking thing, he's still going to school.
Yeah.
It's relatable because you have something of your own that you can tie into this person or can feel with the same with this person.
Yeah. Usually for me, it's like let's say for Gleipnir in the school, like lots of different anime have school. Like Lucky Star, I don't feel like I was at that school. Like I was just enjoying the stories that were being told, laughing at a lot of the jokes. but I never felt like I was there. Like, like Higurashi. I'm like, I'm in the house with them in the dark. I am trying. I'm like, please don't go in that room because I don't want to be in that room. Like, I feel like I'm there with some of the characters. Like this show, I felt like I was in that tower. Like I was standing there with that kind of crazy design guy with the double orb staff thing. Like
the rabbit dude.
Yeah, like I'm standing there just looking at everybody. And I'm like, so how y'all doing? Like I'm just chilling with them, watching them talk.
But okay, so in that sense, I think in that regards, I think more that it pulls you in because of, like I was saying before, though, is the lore.
Oh yes.
You know, there's a lot going on, like a whole lot going on that you have no idea about, but because you're along for the ride, you want to know.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the same with Glipnir. He's a freaking kid who turns into this weird beast mascot thing, and he has no idea why. And it's not like it's something like we've seen in other animes. So we're looking at it going, why is he turning into that? Where did this come from? Why? You know, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, that I can see. I can 100% with you on that one. I mean, world building in this is just amazing.
Yeah, like even with that steel eel thing, like
I would not have called that an eel by any stretch of the
yeah.
Like that's an underwater dragon. I don't know what else to explain that as. I mean, it's got a big, broad, like it's not slender or anything. It has a tail for sure, but it like almost looks like it has wings and it had like 2 horns. I'm like, it's a freaking underwater dragon. What are you talking about? The steel eel. Like, did you just call it that because you're like,
it rhymes?
It rhymes, and we'll make them feel like they're not in any necessary. It's an eel, man.
Yeah, it's in water. Eels are in water. Yeah.
Then you see it, and you're like,
yeah. My question is, I'm like, is this tower instanced? Like, he defeated the thing, and then I thought that the other 2 people were gonna go in there and try to defeat it too after like respawn. But they're like, oh, let's go to the next level. And I'm like, wait, what? Y'all aren't gonna take your turn? Why'd you have all the weapons with you? What? So does that mean that once he beats that one, then you don't have to beat it, and the next person that comes, they can start at level 2?
I think. Well, and I could be wrong about this. And again, because I know very little about this, and I know that there's probably people who know way more about this in regards because they've been reading it. But I almost feel like she has already gone through this. Like she's already beaten certain levels, and not always are the levels the same. Because remember what he said is he got it more challenging because of who he is, which we don't understand right now as the viewer of this anime. Why is that important? But remember, because he was talking with the rabbit, and he's like, well, because he's I forget the title he gave him, like the type of person he was or whatever. That's why I gave him this, because they're like, this is a top tier freaking level thing that you're having him do. Like, it's suicide to try to get him to do this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking they've been up there. They've been up towards the top levels, but they haven't defeated the tower yet. So maybe they have free reign of walking all the levels that they haven't done or that they've done already.
Okay.
And maybe like this was level 1, they were walking in here to actually go and then back up to where they were and stumbled upon him.
So you can walk into the level, not beat it, and then just leave?
That's what it seems like.
Okay.
I mean, depending upon how many levels there are, do you think someone would be able to actually go all the way up through every single level in one go?
Okay, I'm thinking that how do you know when you need to stop? He's like, oh, we need to resupply. So after we're finished with this, we'll just go home? Or
That's
is it like...
It's possible.
Or is it like you try it and you get killed and then you just respawn? And we're like, well,
I mean,
we'll try that later after we train some more.
I may be thinking of this in relation to, say, like, Dungeon. But I would think of it in the same sort of way. You get
Okay.
to a certain point of where you're like, okay,
Ah,
we've expanded all of our resources. Everyone's tired. We gotta go back, and then we can come back to this point again and try it again.
okay.
But now, like, we already been through it, so we don't have to like actually take all the trials and waste all the resources and everything that we've previously already done. Now we can keep moving our way up the tower.
Okay.
I mean, and again, I could be totally off on that, but it kind of seems like that to me. And it also could be the fact of the sense that she's the princess. Maybe she just has special privileges in regards to the tower.
Okay.
Because they kept calling her a princess, and the dude that she's with was the guide of some.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like there's maybe some sort of functionality that the princess of wherever this tower is, maybe the kingdom of wherever it's at has to do something with the tower or something. I don't know. So I mean, there's a lot of unknowns in regards to it. There's speculation we could go up and down about, but
Yeah.
goddamn, is it freaking cool the fact that she does have that freaking arsenal of weapons that she could pull from whenever she wants to.
Yeah.
When she pulled out that rack of swords, I'm like, oh, yes, give me like all of those, please. I'll take them all. And I'm not even a little disappointed with the freaking weapon that she pulled, though. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
with all the weapons she had, and I think
Oh.
it's absolutely hilarious that it's a female spirit that's inhabiting it, and that's the reason why she never gave her power.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't even think of that.
She looked at him and goes, because one of her guide mentioned, she's like, maybe it's because it's a guy, and that's when she yells at the spirit in there, and she looks at him and goes, of course I like boys more. And but see, the funny thing is both her and the spirit both said that they were helping him because he had a cute face.
Yeah, that was funny that both of them said that. I was like, how many more times are people gonna say that?
Yeah. Well, and apparently, I don't necessarily know, but apparently and he's very androgynous, so I'm gonna say he's a guy, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But the white-haired kid in the picture, I think, I don't know if you have the same picture up as this.
Oh yeah, the one that I have on the stream.
Okay, yeah, you're just looking at the other one. So the one, but you know what I'm talking about is because I think they showed him at one point during the snippets in between or whatever. But he seems very,
yeah, briefcase guy.
Yeah. Again, he's very androgynous, and I don't want to presume because I mean I want to say a guy, but I'm also a little bit like, is that a woman? But I don't know. It kind of seems like I think people kind of like him too, and I think maybe that came from the same way. I would laugh really hard if that's the reason why he says he helps him or something.
Yeah.
But I want to say so. It seems like him and the dragon character all team up. I don't know. Either way,
character designs are crazy.
They are.
Oh my god. That dude with like the line of eyes going around his head. I'm like, he sees everything. You can't sneak up on him. Like,
and the whole thing when like he first got there, and there was the like everyone started dying rather rapidly, and when the first person killed the person that was about to swing at him, I think what did they bow? Yeah, it was a bow that killed the person that was next to him. But then a sniper kills the archer, and then somebody comes up behind the sniper and grabs him and breaks the dragon dude breaks his gun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. Well, this is what you would expect in a battle royale. Yeah. You're trying to fight somebody else, but at the same time, somebody else is targeting you, and then it just kind of has like a chain reaction. Yeah. And if the person behind you is smart enough, they're waiting for you to take out the person that you're trying to take out, so that way that's one less person that they have to take out.
Yeah, and stealthy enough to where they could just stand behind you and you don't even know.
Yeah.
And he's a big guy too.
Oh god. Well, and I like the fact that he walks up to the where the sniper was, and the only reason why he wanted to go up there was because he wanted a better vantage point, not so he could target people because he's a melee type. he wanted to be able to have a good view of the battlefield so he could see who the strongest person was.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to battle. He's like, where's
Yeah.
the strongest person? I don't care.
Yeah.
And the only reason why he picks the kid is because the kid had the sword.
Yeah. And he's like,
And the kid doesn't even know how to use the sword, which I like. I like that. It's not like he all of a sudden grabs the sword and all of a sudden becomes a master with the sword. He has no idea how to use the sword, much less the fact that he's been a kid now thrown into the situation. So what is he going to do and actually try to kill somebody? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Of course he's going to have hesitations. He's never done that before.
Yeah.
You know? The thought of hurting somebody else never went through his mind because the only thing he's ever been with is the girl that he loves.
Yeah.
So why would he even consider hurting somebody else? So, I mean, yeah, there are so many good, realistic, despite it being a fantasy, situations that they have in here that I just absolutely, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What is your favorite character so far? I want to say the dragon dude.
I think for me, and I think it's just because I really haven't seen much of them, it's a toss-up between the princess and the white-haired guy in the briefcase.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the princess, I just loved. I mean, she's got the knowledge of this world, and she does things, and I'm just like, that's cool. I like that. Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that she's being told, "Hey, you can't do that. You're breaking the rules," and she's like, "I don't care. Here, take the sword." Oh, and I'm like, hell yeah, that's the sort of attitude you should have. You know, I'm doing this because I want to do it. Screw you. You know.
Yeah.
And then I haven't necessarily seen a whole lot of them, but the fact that the very first time you meet the white-haired guy, he says someone attacks him,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "So you're doing exactly what it is that they want you to do." He's like, "You're allowing yourself to be manipulated and thinking that there's only one way to solve this." And I'm like, I like that. You're a person who has like some intelligence going on up here who's thinking about these things. You're not just mindlessly being like, well, I'm going to climb this tower and I'm going to do everything I possibly can. It's like, well, then why don't you think for yourself? And why don't you actually like figure these things out instead of being like, you know, just because they tell you it's a battle royale, does that mean you actually have to kill anyone? Or do you have to necessarily defeat people? Or, you know, how is this? They left the rules of this whole thing very ambiguous. So I'm like, I like him because he's actually considering that. He's actually going, there's some leeway here. We could manipulate these things and do things differently and yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, the fact that the dude swung at him and then he held it up his briefcase and then pulls out that, like, Dirk-looking thing that he's got. And I'm like, all right, well, yeah, he does like to use his brain, but if he has to, he'll definitely use violence if need be.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, you're screwed.
Yeah, like quotes like that make me wonder. I'm like, how did you pass your first one? I'm like,
because he didn't have to face that. No level. It seems like no one level from anybody is the same.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm curious, like level, one.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you could probably literally have spin-offs of like every single person, like the main characters going up this tower and seeing what trials and tribulations they had, because they're like, everybody's different. You don't know what they had to do. You know, and I'm curious with the fact that they all have their own reasonings behind, I'm sure, why they're wanting to climb this tower. It's like, are they going to be able to team up? Are they going to team up? You know, and I'm like, is there a point to that, or would it be like, no, everyone has to be by for themselves? So I don't know. It's curious. There is so much possibility, which is, I think this is why I'm excited about this, is because there is so much possibility of what could happen that I just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm excited for that. I'm like, this is a show that, unlike all the other ones, because you'd be like, I know one of our questions is where do you see the show going? And a lot of times, like we're good 90, 95% of the time, we can look at these shows and go, oh, well, I know where this is going to go. He's the hero. He's going to get the harem. He's going to save the day. Da 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 da. You don't know with this show.
Yeah.
And I like that. I can't tell you where this show is going to go because I'm like, I don't know. Maybe he's going to find out at the end that Rachel was evil or something, or maybe this whole tower is evil, or like, I mean, it's like, what do you do? You know, it seems like it's going to grant your every wish, but it's like, what if your wish ruins other people's lives? It's like, how does that work, or how does that happen? You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I cursed the dragon dude because right now he's my favorite character, and
so he's gonna die eventually.
yeah, I don't think he's gonna last past this next fight.
Well, I think he'll last. I just don't know if he'll be able to make it all the way to the end.
But
That would be my
yeah.
thought. But
yeah, I'm very excited to see like what this next like as soon as the next episode starts. I'm like, everybody's like, it was a Mexican standoff where everybody got their weapons pointed at each other. Like it's very there's a lot of tension happening right now. I can't wait to see what's gonna happen next.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
yeah, this show is another great one. This season is actually really good. Yeah, imagine the Sword Art and the other shows are here. Oh my god!
I would be loving this season, but unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Unfortunately, and I see so far that you've been watching other shows that I've wanted to watch, but unfortunately, you've not been able to.
Yeah. The next show we're going to be talking about is Listeners.
This one I'm not sure about. What is this one?
I think this is the show that's by Mappa or Trigger.
Oh, this is why I don't know this show. Okay, this is one.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this show is done by Mappa. They are one of my favorite studios. They came out swinging with Terror and Resonance, and they've been just knocking it out every single series that I've seen from them. Basically, this show is about mysterious monsters attacking people, and they're fighting back with another weird thing.
This seems so just, yeah.
So, in this world, the monsters are called earless, and when you see them, it looks like they're wearing Mickey Mouse hats. I guess, I don't know. It looks like they have ears, but if you look really closely, it looks like they're wearing some kind of helmet that like resembles ears. I don't know. And it is kind of like a Monster of the Week, or at least Battle of the Week series, where every episode is going to be a fight. And you have one of the main characters who's a guy who's just happy with his just average life. He lives in this area that's basically a giant dump, and he's a scavenger. He finds all these different parts. He likes tinkering, and one day after he's almost like Ray from Star Wars. One day he goes to turn in his pieces for his pay for the day, and after he gets his pay, he starts leaving, and he sees this really cool rare piece that I guess because he got so excited about it, and or it's the piece that he's looking for his little thing that he's building, and he goes to reach it, and of course he can't reach it, so he overextends himself and falls down into this crevice, and he finds this girl. This girl doesn't have any memories. And they talk. He brings her home, and his mom helps her revive her and all that kind of stuff. And And they start talking, and the mayor finds out, busts into the house, and is like, "No, people like these, they're called listeners." She has like a headphone jack in her back and two speakers on her hips. Okay. And and the reason why she's like that is because she's supposed to pilot these giant robots that fight with music or sound waves, I guess. And for her to control it, she has to plug it into her. It's another like how else can we have these people pilot these robots? Oh, I know. We're gonna have the main guy sit in the back on a piano keyboard, and we're gonna have the girl standing on the robot's shoulder, and then the way she can control it is she'll have a headphone jack at her back, and then she'll just control the robot, and he's like playing music in the back. I don't know. It's weird, but it's interesting. It looks cool. And yeah, the mayor, he basically busts in. He's like, "No, she has to leave, blah blah blah." And like the mom's like, "Hey, here, have a beer." And he's like, "Ah, okay." And then the kids go upstairs, and then like they have a conversation, and then she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go." And then she goes to the train station at like 3 in the morning or like 1 in the morning, and I'm like, "Why are you going now? Shouldn't you wait until right before the train gets there and then go?" Like, there's no reason why you can't stay at this house. The mayor, he's calmed down. He's drinking downstairs, and he's about to leave. What? Why are you going now? Then the monsters attack, of course. And she is close by, I think. I don't remember. And oh yeah, that night before she leaves, the average guy, the main character, he's talking about this. He's like, these are the things that I'm passionate about, and blah blah blah. And she's like, "Oh, well, you should follow that passion." He's like, "Oh, no, I'm just an average guy, just living an average life, and I don't want to do anything crazy like that." And she's like, "You're contradicting yourself. You just showed all this passion about this one thing that you would love to do. You want to make a difference, but then as soon as people are like, 'Yeah, go make a difference,' you're like, 'No, I'm fine.'" So I think that's probably why she got mad. I think she got pissed off and just left or something. I don't remember. But the earless attack, and he grabs his, basically the robots. I guess there's a piece of musical equipment like an amp or a boom box or something like that, and then the listeners, they like do something, and then it like transforms like a transformer, and then they plug into it and then they can control it. So he has this boom box or amp thing that he's been building after collecting all these parts, and he's like, "Oh, I built one of those, whatever the robots are called. I built one of them robots." And the earless attack, so he goes and grabs his robot and like starts bringing it to her, and then they like save the day. I'm like, okay, I know what the show is now. So
I figured it out.
Yeah, so it's it fits in a mold. Like, they're gonna go on a journey. He's gonna actually leave his hometown, and they're gonna fight monsters every episode. And you're gonna find out what stuff she forgot and why she got like dumped. You're gonna come across the big baddies, and they're gonna save the day, I think. So
pretty stereotypical.
Yeah, it like fits right in that box. So yeah, it's interesting. I really like the way it looks, and it seems like this is gonna be a fun journey. So I'm into that one. Do I like the character so far? The mayor, he's weird. Like, he was kind of like the
prejudice against people who have jacks on them, you know.
Yeah. So of course he has his own story where the story of the town was like there was this great catastrophe that happened because of listeners, and he basically had to like one.
So all of them are evil. Get them out of here.
Get them out of here. You don't want to be like them. You don't want to have these crazy dreams and like all this passion and like become a robot fighter guy. So don't do that because you'll destroy the town again. So everybody in the town's kind of just like level-headed, and that's really like that's not 100% the reason why. Like the guy sees like when he's like, oh, I have this passion and everything. He's like, oh, you should do passion. He's like, oh no, I don't want to make the mayor mad. Blah blah blah. So the whole town is kind of like just this. Everybody's suppressing their dreams and all that kind of stuff. Just picking up scrap, getting money for it, and all that kind of stuff. And there's this giant like music note on top of one of the things, and it's like a reminder of what happened that day. So like the town is kind of like this depressed, kind of like gray feeling town. And he finally gets out. So it's gonna be a cool adventure for everybody going like that. Out of all the characters, I don't like the mayor.
Yeah, because he's a dick.
Yeah, and it's like he's one of them like you can tell he means well because she's like, here, have a beer, calm down. He's like, oh, okay, fine. He just stops. And then like after
he's an alcoholic. Gotcha.
And then after they save the day, of course the mayor's right there, and he's like, "See, that's why I said y'all shouldn't be doing blah." And I'm like, "They saved the day. You should be saying thank you." And then like all of a sudden, the music note that they keep showing like throughout the episode like starts tilting over, and they're like, "Oh no, run!" And the guy and the girl run, and the guy's like, "Where are y'all going? Run!" And it just falls, and I'm like, "Did they just let that thing crush him?" And then they cut to them two, and they're like doing stuff. He's like, okay, let's go. And they jump on a train. And I'm like, does nobody forget that the old man probably just got crushed? Y'all gonna need a new mayor. I'm like, what's happening? And then like his hand like pops out of the rubble. And I'm like, oh my God, it did fall on him.
Oh shit.
So I'm like, okay.
That's my kind of heroic work right there.
So yeah, the other guy, he's not done yet. He still needs to like bake on some experience, life experience. The girl needs to like loosen him up and all that kind of stuff, and he'll end up being an okay character. The girl, she's too loosey goosey. Like she has not a care in the world, probably because she don't remember anything. And yeah, I feel like she's gonna get them into a lot of trouble. So the only character that I do like is the mom. Like she got everything under control. Like she knows what happened in the past. She still has her dreams and everything. She just knows not to cause trouble. And when the mayor comes in yelling and screaming, she's like, hey, calm down. Here, I have a beer. He's like, oh, okay, cool. so she's the coolest character that I've met so far.
I want that on a freaking t-shirt. Just something that says, hey, calm down, have a beer. Oh, shit.
Yeah, will I continue this one? Yes, this is gonna be one of the adventures that I go on this season. And the standout moments is they let that guy get crushed by the music note. Oh my God, what the?
Well, you had a beer, it's fine. Oh shit.
Yeah. The next show we're gonna be talking about is Nami yo Kitekure. Or Wave Listen to Me, I think is what the name is in whatever streaming service I watched this on. So this is the
20 years.
Yeah, this is the radio show one.
Oh, that one we had been talking about. Okay, yeah.
Yes. I don't know how I feel about this series. It's one of those realistic shows. So it's like adults. Like all the characters are adults. So I'm like, okay. Is this gonna be like just a mirror to like every like adult life, or is there gonna be something interesting? It's very weird. I don't really know like how to I don't know. So basically, I've only seen one episode of this. And basically it did that pattern again where it shows like a cut of what's going to be, and then it cuts back to like 2 months earlier or something like that. Basically, what happens is it opens with the main lady standing in the woods in front of a bear, and she's talking to somebody, and you're like, what's going on? She's talking really fast, and
Because, I start my, everyday life with talking with a bear, out in the woods. That's perfectly normal to me. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I see Yogi down the street every time I go to work. I mean, I wave hi, he waves hi, we're all good.
he goes, roar. About my day.
I mean, who doesn't? I mean, come on.
So, so she's standing next to a tree, like right at this pond, and like the bear's in the pond, just being a bear, and she's just talking out loud, and she's like telling a story, and I'm like, what is happening? And then it's the story that she's telling is like the lead up to a question, and then she asks the question, and then she like pauses for a second and then answers the question. I'm like, huh? Then she reads another question and she's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm right in front of a bear. Like, I'm thinking about running, but he'll probably catch me. And then she starts going back into the story. And I'm like, what is happening right now? And then they cut to her sitting in a chair with some papers. And she's like reading the papers. And then you hear a bear sound. And then it cuts back to her being with the bear. And I'm like,
that bear's a stalker. He won't leave her alone. Saw her in the woods talking, thought she looked cute, and then just came following her home.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is happening? So then, like, the bear, like, I guess gets upset and then starts charging after her, and then she starts reading faster and starts freaking out. And I'm like, what is happening? Somebody explain. And then she's like running, and then like she gets out of the woods into this field, and then the bear like is nowhere to be seen. So then she like goes through like a couple more questions, and it's like somebody's writing into a radio show where they're like, oh, well, I have this situation where I met this person and they like did me wrong and I don't really know what to do about it. And she's like, oh, okay, well, I'm free from the bear right now, so I can let's see, something like that similar happened to me and blah blah blah. This is how you should resolve it. And then the bear shows up and then she's like, she's like amping up for some reason, and then like it cuts to like the producer in the other room, and I'm like, oh, this is a radio show. And for some reason she's in the recording booth, but she's acting like she's in front of a bear. She's talking so fast because she's panicking. I don't understand. I guess she's so talented that she could be
she's
like
off in another world thinking about bears.
like the radio show, like Dear Dr. Laura, dear so and so, that they write into this like to get advice. So I'm like, so the reason why that shows that she's doing is popular is because she acts out all these crazy scenarios while answering the question. So I'm like, okay, but why a bear? And then the guy's like, do you have I think she's about to fight the bear. Do you have an injured bear sound? And he's like, no, we have a hurt dog, but we could probably process it to make it sound like a bear. And I'm like, oh, they're feeding the scenario into her headphones. Okay, that's interesting. And then she like goes into this crazy battle and like starts fighting the bear, and then she chokes the bear out and like it collapses, and then she like, okay, show's over. And I'm like, huh?
But what about the bear?
Okay, that's an interesting kind of way to do like a call-in show or a write-in show. Is the show just going to be her answering questions the whole time? And then it cuts to like 2 months earlier or something like that. I'm like, oh, this is gonna lead up to her being on that show, and like, how like she's gonna encounter the producer somehow. Uh, she's gonna end up like starting out just by answering the questions, and maybe the show doesn't do well, and then they're like, maybe we should do something to spice it up. And then she comes up with this crazy story, and they're like, oh my God, we should do more stuff like that. And they start adding all this crazy spice. And it'll build up to where she has this like nationally syndicated show, and like it's the most popular thing on the station, and then blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna be like I can see this being an interesting thing. She is a waitress at this kind of upscale restaurant, and
I want to say the original one that we had watched about this said she was being blackmailed or something.
I don't actually I don't know about the blackmail part, but I can see how. I'm like, you're like, oh, blackmail. That's why she's on the show. Okay, that makes sense. So what ends up, she is working, and like being a hostess, like people would ask like, oh, why did you use this? Like, oh, this bread is really good. Like, what is it? And she's like, oh, well, the main chef decided to go and blah blah blah, and instead of doing bread like this that other restaurants do, we decided to do it this way. So she's really good at her job, and she's talking with one of the other cooks, and she's talking about this date that she went on, and it flashes to the date, and it's her and the producer. I have forgot. I was like, I recognize him, but I don't remember from where, because it was mostly a bear fight that I saw. And I remember him standing in the room, but I didn't know who he was. But so them two are on a date, and she's like telling this, like she's drunk, goes going into this rant about some situation that she had with an ex-boyfriend. And he's just sitting there like, oh, interesting, and he's like talking to her like just being on a date. I don't know. So yeah, so that day ends, and then she kind of cuts back to present day where she was talking about before she was talking about the date. And then the radio show that guy works for is playing in the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, the rant that she went on during her date starts playing on the radio. She remembers. Oh, the guy gave her his business card, so she's like, "What the fuck?" Like goes and like grabs the radio, gets the address, and just bolts out of her job. Like just leaves. And then the guy that she was talking to was like, "Hey, you can't just leave like this." She's like, "Nah, cover for me." Blah, blah, blah. And she just flying down the road. And like, I'm like, uh-oh. It's gonna cut to in the restaurant, and they're like trying to put on the show, and they're like, oh, this show is sponsored by this is gonna be something crazy on the radio. So I'm like, this is gonna be good. Like I'm not really one for drama, but I'm like, I'm already invested in like what it's going to be, and now I'm meeting her like before she gets there, and then this guy was recording their date. Oh my God. Like, I can see that he scouts her, and it's like, oh my gosh, she's really good at telling stories. But I'm like, you can't just record somebody's rant on her drunk and then just play it on the radio. How dare you? So I'm like, she's about to kick his butt. So, because I'm like, I can already tell that she's just quick-tempered. So so she goes to the radio station, and then she walks up to the receptionist, and she's like, I need to speak to him. And she's like, oh, do you have an appointment or something? She's like, no. He's like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, well, I can't let you go. He's like, yeah, I need to speak to him right now. And she's like, okay, ma'am, calm down. And then I guess she talks to them, comes back, and then the receptionist lets them into the room. And like, they're currently doing the radio show that she was listening to. And like her story, like she got there so fast that her story is still playing on the radio. So she busts into the room and like, was like, hey, you, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, okay, hold on, one second. And they like go sit her down at a station. They're like, okay, this is the cough thing, and then this is this is the cough button, and this is like the delay thing. And he's like, 3 seconds is death on radio, and 3 seconds is bad, but 8 seconds is death on the radio. So I guess that's like people start complaining or something like, I don't know yet, because I'm gonna learn about radio with this show. And then all like she is completely quiet. She's like, oh, okay, that's the cop thing. And then they like put headphones on her, and then like they say something, and then she's like, I guess part of the reason why she's mad is because they aired her dirty laundry. So one thing she wants to do is apologize for what she's ranting about. But then another thing is like, how dare you record me? So she's like, they basically put her in a position where she could apologize. She's like, oh, well, I wanted to do this, but what's happening? And he's like, all right. And then we'll be cutting the commercial in like 3, 2, 1. And then she's like, they cut back from commercial because the rant's over. And then she's like, 3, 2, 1, and go. And they hit the live button. And then she's like frozen because she's like, what's happening? And like the lady like slaps her in the back, and she's like, okay, yeah, that story that you just heard was from me, blah blah blah, and I'm so sorry about talking about this, and I want to talk about that. But what I really meant, and she was like just clarifying the whole story, and like she was just like, she works there, and I'm like, y'all are slick.
Oh boy.
God. I'm like, empty at the studio, and like, oh my God. So I was very, very interested in this stuff, like this show. Wow. Like some of it kind of like inspires me as far as like the show goes and the podcast and like learning about radio and how to like do a really good radio show. So I'm hooked on this show. Like it is, it came out of left field. I don't know why I'm so like in love with this show. Very weird. Like they go off of, like they talk about like a lot of dating culture and like how like a guy could like trick a girl and like what 500,000 yen, which is what $5,000 or something like that. She ended up paying for her boyfriend and all that. And it's like these weird stories that I'm like, I don't really care about like gossiping about other people, but like the way that she explains it and what's involved and all this other kind of stuff, it's kind of cool to hear like something that somebody went through and then like somebody's opinion on how to resolve it. So it's kind of like learning about how to handle situations in life mixed with crazy bear fights mixed with an adult like adult life themed anime all mixed in one. Like also, hey, learn about radio. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll keep watching.
So, yeah, I don't know. This one definitely came out of left field, I think, for a lot of it. And I'm like, I think even when we originally viewed it, we were looking at it going, what the hell even is this?
Yeah. Yeah, I was totally surprised that I liked it this much. How do I like the character so far? I don't trust that manager. He's very sneaky. The other, see, is this the same picture that is on? Yes, I got the same picture. So the lady, with the pink sweater, she's the one that like slapped the lady in the back to like get her to just start talking because of the whole you don't want silence on the radio. So
yeah, you can't put somebody in an acting position without any sort of like forewarning or whatever, because stage fright is a real thing.
Yeah, and it's just like she is so good at her job that she could just handle anything. Like I'm pretty sure he's like, oh, I'm gonna air this, and the lady's probably gonna come in here like just mad, and he's like, this is the situation that's probably gonna happen in the studio. He's like, I know y'all can handle it because I trust y'all. And then she's just like, here are all the things. He's like, if you can't do it, then I'll handle it. And then she's like, huh? And he's like, bah! And it's just professionals. Oh my God, like it's crazy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so I was very impressed by like learning about radio. Yeah. Who's my favorite character? I would say the lady with the pink jacket. I only saw her for like maybe a minute in the whole show, and I was just impressed. Wait, where does the thing keep going? There we go. Um, will I continue this? It's very likely. Um, the only thing that would stop me from finishing this show is Sword Art Online and Snafu and Bookworm. Um, if I can knock all that out, then yeah, I would still, I would like to finish the show. And standout moments, yeah, just the professionalism on how to throw a wrench into the machine works and not fall apart. It is. Hey. The next show we're going to be talking about is Princess Connect Redive.
Was this another one of yours? Yeah, this was another one of yours.
Yeah. So, this show was one that Rachel wait, is this the one that?
I think this is one of the shows that I had been questioning. Yeah, I think it was. I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to go for this one.
I'm trying to figure out if this is the show that Ray really liked, and I think it is. Because I think the guy in the back and then the girl to the left are the two main characters. Well, they're probably all four of them are probably going to end up being main characters, but like in the first episode, I think you meet them two first.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the comedy fantasy anime, and this is a show that I am like. It's like Konosuba, where it's fantasy themed, but they're not really doing it right.
Yeah, it's fantasy themed in the fact that you see people who are fantasy-esque, and they're in a fantasy setting, but they pretty much ignore most of that and just do the comedy bit, basically. Yeah.
So basically, in this world, you are brought into the world, and you're reincarnated. And I don't know if it's just this main guy or it's everybody, but the main guy got reincarnated with the mental capacity of a baby. Like he developed quickly over the episode, but I think they reincarnated him wrong. I don't know what's going on. And you basically get an escort once you land in the world. Basically, you get reincarnated on this platform, and then they're like, "All right," poof, and then you come falling down to the earth. And then one of your escorts finds you, and then they're like, "Welcome to this world," and blah blah blah, and let's go adventure or whatever. The main guy, he can't talk, doesn't remember anything, and she said something about a baby, and I'm like, so he's a baby, but in teenager form, and
because that's not awkward at all.
It's like, this is weird. So there's one point where they go to get some food, and she's like, "Oh, it'll probably be about however much. Hand him this," and she hands him a gold coin, and then he starts chewing on the gold coin, and she's like, "No, no, 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 that's money, and this is important. You're supposed to pay for stuff like this." And then he's like, "Money, important. Okay." I'm like, "No, we can't. We can't stay like this that long, guys. Like, no." This is not fun at all.
Oh God.
So,
oh God.
by the end of the first episode, he's like speaking somewhat. And I'm like, it's better, but he should have started here and then became normal at the end of the episode. Like, I don't, I can't follow a character like this. I'm like, we're gonna need to jump to somebody else's story. Then the girl that's in the across the table from the other girl, the redhead, she is a very, very strong warrior, and she is constantly eating, like constantly.
Mm-hmm.
The opening scene, she's sitting on a rock with this giant rice ball and just like, and then she looks up in the sky and sees like the main character falling. And she's like, oh, is that a meteorite or a falling star? And I'm like, okay. She's also very, very ditzy. I think after she finished eating that the rice ball, two thieves are like nearby, and they set up something on the top of a hill, and as she's walking, well, when she becomes in earsight, there's two. One of them's like, "Oh, my stomach," and he's like, "Oh, somebody help!" And they like get her attention, and she's like, "What's happening?" He's like, my brother, he's sick. He needs his medicine that's up here at the top of the hill." And he's like, "Right there." She's like, "Yeah, could you go get it?" And then she's like, "Okay." And she goes and grabs these little packets or something, and then they run off with her sword because she laid down her sword and went to go get the thing. And I'm like, "Why did you put your sword down?"
This sounds so contrived.
It's like, "Hey, you forgot your medicine." And she's like chasing them the whole episode. I'm like, okay. You don't meet the other girl that the guy's standing next to, I don't think, until later. Unless she's the lady. No, maybe she's the one that reincarnates him. I can't remember. I don't remember who she is. But the other girl, she's incompetent. Like his guide. She's like you get a default party member, and she's like magical, but then she's also supposed to guide him through the world, and she's not good at it. So basically, once she finds him after the guy lands, she starts talking to him, and he just doesn't get it because he has the mind of a baby or something, or he can't talk. I don't know. And as soon as she walks up on him, he's getting eaten by wolves. And the wolves look like the hyenas from Lion King. Like one of them looks like Ed, where he's like looking in that direction and that direction at the same time, and then the other one's just kind of just doofy looking, and they're just like wow, just tearing them apart. And she's like, "Hey!" And they glance at her, and then just run off with the guy. And she's like, "No!" So she chases them down.
Oh shit!
And like recovers him, and then they go off on another thing, and then they're going through a forest or whatever, and then all of a sudden they come to a clearing, and then the wolves are there again, and he's like, "Oh, well, now that you have your sword, we're gonna fight." And then it's just like, oh, and just take him off again, and I'm like, "Oh no, how many times can you do this?"
So yeah, it's definitely a Konosuba situation as far as this goes. So I definitely shouldn't watch this one because I'm gonna get annoyed about the fact of all the sheer idiocy that they have going on.
Funny. Later on, they get to this village, and they get to the village. They get the food. The dude tries to eat the money. She explains to him the money's important. They go eat with the food, and then they're like, "Oh, they try to go to sleep, but it costs too much to live in to sleep in town." And I'm like, "How are you a guy to not know how much it costs for lodging?" Like, he has like the worst guide ever. So they go and camp out in the forest. The guy gets eaten by wolves again. And
Is this gonna be like a running gag through every episode? Like he's gonna get eaten by wolves every single time? Just be like, "Oh look, he got eaten by wolves."
They're like, it's
again.
It's wolves again.
Look, he got eaten by wolves again.
So they get out of basically they camp throughout the night, and then they go back into town in the morning, and they're like, "We need to get money." So they go to the guild hall where it has all the quests and everything. And she's like, Like you see some of the quests and it has like skulls all over it, and I'm like, they can't do any of these. So they start reading one, and like the guide master person, she's like, oh, I think this would be a good one for you. All you have to do is go to this village and pick some mushrooms. And she's like, oh, that sounds easy. And I'm like, of course it sounds easy, but why is that quest still on the wall? I'm like, there has to be something with it. So they go and start picking mushrooms and everything. And she ends up finding this one mushroom that can talk. And he's like, Poochie, Poochie. Oh, that's kind of crazy. The silly noises. And she's like, oh, I'm going to keep you as a pet. And like puts him in her purse. And then like the guy, he's picking vegetables. And they stop somewhere and they start making food. So she's making these like really nice, pretty rice balls. Unlike the ones that the other girl is eating that I guess she made herself. And I guess she gets her sword from the guys, and she meets up with them, and then no, she's passed out on the ground because she's hungry, and they come across her, and her stomach is her stomach's growling, so they feed her some of the food. She eats all of their food, and I'm like, hey, Jesus. So they start talking, and she's like, oh, I can help you find some of the mushrooms. Well, actually, no. They're gathering mushrooms, and then she's like, ooh, mushrooms sound good. So they start grabbing more mushrooms and cook them. And I'm like, that's for the quest. How many mushrooms are y'all supposed to need for the quest? Have you got your quota and you're just feeding her more? I don't get it. But so then
I don't get any of it.
So then something happens, and it's like, I guess there's an evil person or something, and he starts like putting a spell on the mushrooms, and they turn into these giant mushroom monsters. And then they start charging, and then the girl, she's all strong, so she starts like knocking them out left and right. And then the other two get prepared. So he has a sword, and he's like, all right. So she's like, so she starts getting ready to shoot magic. He starts running at the things with a sword, and he's like, hey! And the mushroom's like, knocks him flat into the ground.
Oh boy.
At this point, I'm falling off the couch because I'm like, Jesus Christ, they are incompetent. Oh my God. So what ends up happening is they fight the monsters. They all of a sudden, when the guy recovers, he has some special power and starts like spreading this magic healing superpower kind of stuff at them. And so like everybody gets an upgrade. And like, so the strong girl like takes out all the mushrooms. The girl with the magic, she's like more powerful. And then they almost beat everybody. And then all of a sudden, that little mushroom that's in her purse is like, you're ruining my plans. And he like gets out of the purse and tries to like attack her. And the other girl's like, oh, a mushroom, and like snatches him out of the air. And then the other girl's like, oh, that's my pet. And she's like, they're good when they're fresh.
Oh God. Jeez. So this for sure is going to be a fantasy show up your alley, and one I should definitely stay away from. Got it. Totally got it. Totally got it.
Yeah, this sounds great.
I mean, great might be a little bit of a stretch, just saying, but
yeah. So yeah, I only watched the first episode. It was a very entertaining episode. Do I like the characters? I don't know. Like, everybody has their major flaws. Maybe I'll like the fourth person in the picture. I like the person that's reincarnating everything because she has like these cool wings that are behind her, and like it seems like it used to be something like really mechanical, like this magical mechanical device, and it's all like destroyed. Like pieces of it are like not working, and like it has half gears that are still like rotating and everything. But she's like, I have to stay here until my equipment gets repaired.
Mm-hmm.
So she's bound to like show up again later on in the series, and like I want to find out like what happened to her and stuff like that. So I'm like interested in like all the characters. I'm like I like her the most, and then the strong girl the second most. She's still kind of dumb and everything, but she is very strong, and she like accidentally does the right thing. So yeah.
It's just a freaking mess, honestly. I think that's what that translates to me. All in either is just like that's a mess.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna continue this one. Definitely over the radio show, and hopefully I get to the radio show too. The next show we're gonna be talking about is Shacho Battle no Jikan Desu. This is the one that's the office workers that go into this portal to fight battles and stuff and go on quests.
Oh, wait. This is the... Wait. Is this one of the ones that I wanted to watch? I think this might be. I have no idea. It almost sounds like one I wanted to watch. I don't know. I think this was.
I would say it's closer to being up your alley than this last one.
Considering the last one sounded like a giant headache, yeah, probably.
So yeah, this one is very, very toned down compared to the other one. It's like a proper fantasy show, proper like dungeon crawling quest adventure kind of show. Mm-hmm. Basically, something happened and this giant portal appeared in the world. I think there's multiple portals across the world, and basically cities got built up around them. In those cities, actually, somebody went into one of the portals and found this this crystal. They basically took that crystal, did some experiments on it, and found out that it can power the world. So, because it's a very, very powerful resource, they're like, cool, we're gonna build cities around these portals and go in and try to get the minerals. Part of me in my head is like, is this a renewable resource? Does it just keep growing? Because if it's not, then what's going to happen when you run out? Like if you build your whole civilization that runs off of this crystal and you run out, before it runs out, it's going to become scarce, and then wars are going to break out for people who have like the rest of it left. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little worried about that. I don't think they'll get into it at all. But because there's a resource in there that everybody needs, they basically build up companies around that building, around the portal in these different buildings, and it's everybody's job to go in, do quests, get items, and then cash those items out and cash out your kills and everything to keep your business running.
That sounds so complicated. You know what that almost reminds me of? That almost reminds me of what was it? Portal 2, when Cave Johnson was using his employees as test subjects, as mandatory test subjects. And he's like, well, test subject has improved dramatically since we implemented this rule. Unfortunately, our employment rate is down severely. It's like you're throwing people out there and like, all right, sure. Plot's got a plot, I guess. Jeez.
Yeah. So, it's okay. The main company that's in the story, they lost their president. I don't know if they talked about how or anything, but two people that were friends before are basically at the age where they can run the company. And the main girl with the purple hair, she goes to find her friend and basically brings him in to run the company. Everybody in the company has been there for a while, so they know what they're doing. This guy, he's like the neat character in EET, not in education, training or something else. and they basically pull him out of what he's doing and then have him be like the president of the company. And it looks like it's gonna be like, as far as the character goes and the story goes, it looks like it may be an interesting journey with these characters to, like, one, keep the company alive so everybody can keep doing what they're doing. Two, this guy, like, he has a purpose, something that he can be good at or will become good at, and he's no longer like living off of whatever he was living off of. And then three, it looks like he has some kind of skills, because in part of the story, he's like, oh, let's try this one thing, and it solved it. So it does look like he's not, like, he is helpful and he like has some information to provide. He just doesn't have the confidence in himself. So I don't know if he's like one of those people who are like, is competent, but like doesn't really like show it or believe in himself. He's like, how about we try this? And he tries that and like, okay, cool. And then moves on and doesn't like take pride in the fact that he knows information and stuff like that. Or maybe that'll build and he'll like have confidence in himself or something like that. I don't know. But there is one thing that's weird. That guy, the boy in the back with blue hair.
Only one thing that's weird.
There's something in his backpack. Like, he carries around his backpack, and either he has like this evil pet in his backpack that's holding him hostage, or his backpack is like enchanted and it talks or something. Because basically he would like, somebody would ask a question and he would answer it, and he's like, foolish humans, blah, 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 blah. Like, will come out of his backpack. And like, he's like, oh, there's nothing happening.
So his backpack is demonically possessed. Got it.
Or the reason why he is able to do what he does is because the creature in his backpack is doing it, and he's acting like he's doing it, or something. I don't know. It's like, I want to know what's in that backpack.
Could it be Satan?
So yeah. So this one I'm not as excited about. I'm probably not going to continue this one, but it's interesting.
You have to have a limit to how many weird shows you can watch in a season, man. You gotta have a comfortable ground.
Like, the characters are kind of boring. Like, I don't know. It's like this is like a fantasy, like full fantasy show. Like not full fantasy. It's like, it's on the other side of the fence. Like, it's like
pseudo fantasy.
I would say the other one is a pseudo fantasy. I would say it's a comedy that just has fantasy elements. But yeah, this is like a fantasy show. It's a dungeon crawling show. It's just, I'm like, the characters are boring. Like, they're not. The only thing I'm like, what's in the backpack? Once I find out what's in the backpack, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm gone. Like, like, there's something really interesting pulling me in. Like, I can already, I basically guessed what's gonna happen already. Like,
what's in the bag?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like, something about the crystals and what's in the backpack. I'm like, that's the only 2 points of conflict that I can see going. Other than that, it's just gonna be a slice of life, and I'm like,
Yeah, I just damn, this whole season, other than Tower of God, seems like every anime that's come out has been just an absolute disappointment in regards to fantasy. Like, I could definitely see you could label Tower of God as a fantasy, because it definitely is.
Yeah.
But it's like, how would you? I don't know. Any other ones out here? You're looking at it just going, why? Just why? Everyone saw Konosuba did really well or something. They're like, ha! We have the formula. We know what to do. Quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, this show is it's okay.
It's okay.
The characters are kind of boring. The story's kind of okay. Not really interesting conflict. It's not really like super funny. It's okay.
It's okay.
The next show we're going to be talking about is Food Wars, the 5th plate.
Yes, the fifth plate. I don't know. Okay, so at the end of the last season that came out for Food Wars, I honestly thought we were done. I thought we were good. Then they came out with another one, and I'm like, wait, what? And apparently in this one, there's a time skip that has occurred.
Oh.
So we're not in the freshman year now. We're in the sophomore year. They're in year 2. And I don't know. I'm just like, the thing is that they what they've pushed against as far as that goes is that they're now they alluded to something that the main character's father could not do, and so now they're like, well, now it's Yukihida's time to do it and see if he can do what his father couldn't do.
Okay.
Which, like, I'm okay with, but then I'm like, it's like we kind of had this thing going, and it's cool to see because they ended it with Yukihira reaching a certain point, which is cool. But now I'm like, is there necessarily a point? Because now we're like, this is where we're at now, so it's like, I don't know, it's weird. I still enjoy the show. I always will. It's a great show. I enjoy the interactions, and I think at this point we have the characters' designs. It's like we know the character designs, we have the character designs. This is all kind of what we do, I guess, more or less. So the problem, I mean, it's just so it's cool seeing the interactions because now it's like we've gotten to a certain point where everyone knows each other. Everyone knows what each other's strengths are. Everyone knows what each other's weaknesses are. There's no questioning involved with that. It's like we're all good. We're all friends. We all know this sort of thing. I don't know. I'm curious to see where it goes. I want to say they had only the first couple of episodes out for this, and then this was one of the ones that that it was on the list for delays.
Okay.
So they already had like the first couple of things done, and they were letting people know that just be warned, there will be delays because of the coronavirus and all that.
Okay.
So I think so. I'm only going to see a couple episodes for it. But again, I'm still just curious to see where it goes and what we do with it. I just don't know. I don't know where the tension's going to be anymore. So we're just going to have to see.
Okay. Do you think that they would, because what was it? Spaz had said, what, a 7-course meal?
Yeah, I think I talked with him recently about that, and he's now more under the impression that they will probably only do this might be the end of it, he thinks.
Oh.
So, which again, I'm like I told him before, I'm like, well, that makes sense to me because I'm looking at what everything's been done, and I'm like, how did y'all expect to go further? It's like I get maybe where you're going from here, but now I'm like, how much further can you really go? I mean, once if he can accomplish what they have set out as his trial, and I guess one of the things is that somebody who they've alluded to, and they haven't necessarily said who, but somebody who they've alluded to has actually beaten his father in a TacoYaki. And so they took his knife.
Oh.
So I think the two things that we're going to have to contend with are Soma potentially going up against that same person and proving that he's better and able to get back his dad's knife. And 2, him being able to compete in this high-ranking official judging, like of the best of the best from around the world. Now we're not just competing within Japan and in Totsuki Academy. Now we're competing worldwide, globally. And I'm like, I can definitely see where you're looking. Where if like where would you go after that? I'm like, I don't necessarily see there being any place you could go after that. You've already expounded, as it says, and what is it? There was some movie or some series I remember watching, and they're like, each time they had to expound and make the conflict bigger, make it more the stakes higher and stuff like that. And it's like, this is a cooking show. Bottom line, this is a cooking show. Once you go globally, where are you going from there? I mean, are we talking like extra dimensional? Are we talking, so it's like
Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, it's like, are we going to other like worlds and then cooking? I'm like, no. They've never done anything like that. So, to me, I definitely see this as being the final season for it.
Okay.
So.
Cool.
Unless some crazy mishaps happen, but I'm like, if they like run it to where he doesn't, like, he fails out, bottoms out completely, and like the first 12 episodes or something like that, and then has to slowly retrain, and then the next arc is him actually then going back and doing everything all over again and actually winning or something like that, I'm like, come on, don't do that. Come on. Let's be reasonable here. Let's not do that, So I'm like, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited. It's always good. I always enjoy what we do. But again, I'm like, it's almost a little bit of a letdown because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this is it. This has got to be it. I really cannot see how they would go further. I didn't see how they could go further last time. But after watching the first couple episodes, I'm like, okay, I see where you guys are heading on this. Fine, if that's the direction you want to go in, cool. But now I'm looking at going, there really isn't any other direction you guys can go in. Yeah, this is it. This is the end game. This is where we're at. So I'm like, all right. But I guess we'll see.
The next show and the last show we're going to talk about is TacoYaki. Baseball Girls.
I was about to say, I don't reckon. Oh, that's why I don't recognize. Okay, yeah, no, all right, got it. 110% behind you, got it. All right.
So, this show is another show that Ray Ray liked, and I also really liked it.
You're slowly converting her into the sports anime genre.
Yeah. So, baseball show. It's the same formula as always. It's either one character who used to play and doesn't play anymore, and then gets roped into joining the team that needs help, and then they go try to win in the tournament. Or it is characters who just recently played, had some kind of issue, quit, and don't want to come back, and then they get roped in. Or any kind of mixture of the two. Or it's someone who was at a smaller school and he was the best at that school, but then he joins another school that has a really good team, and he has to fight his way through the ranks. This show is the second one, where it's someone who used to play, and because of a specific incident, they don't play anymore. And then it's also mixed in with the slice of life thing, where it's like two friends who promised to do something together, and then they meet all of a sudden at the same school, and they want to fulfill their promise. So basically, the main girl in this show, first one that you meet, she played for another team, and at a certain point, everybody on the team was scouted and was set up to win, to go to play on another team at either middle school or high school. So everybody on that team gave up. So they're just like, all we need to do is just go through the motions, and then like we're already set. Like everybody on the team already has a team, like has the next team that they're going to. or they have the school that they're getting into. Like everybody's already set. The pitcher, she's passionate about the sports. Like she actually wants to play. And because they lost the game previously, she's trying to find a new pitch that she can throw to like stop getting hits and stuff like that. Because it's like, yeah, everybody might have gotten to their school, but like she's disappointed in her performance as a pitcher. So because everybody starts getting mad at her because she's still trying, and because she's trying, the catcher starts getting frustrated with her because she actually figured out how to throw this new pitch. And because the catcher basically has given up, she keeps missing the ball because it's a very unusual pitch. And the other teams keep making runs because if you throw it and don't catch it, then they can just run all they want. And they're starting to lose like really badly in one of the games. So she basically was like, knock it off and just throw regular. And it like just very much discouraged the girl, so she quit. At the new school, she meets this girl who's just another girl that's sitting next to her in class, and the other girl's reading a baseball magazine because she's a baseball fanatic, of course. And then the other girl notices that she's reading the baseball magazine, and she's like, "Oh, is that Baseball Digest or whatever it's called?" and she's like, "Yeah, this is blah blah blah." And she's like, "Oh, you read this too?" And she's like, "No, I used to play in middle school." And she's like, "Oh, what position did you play?" And she's like, "Oh, I was pitcher." And she's like, "Oh, can I see your hands?" And I'm like, "Okay." I know hands are important for like piano players and stuff like that, but for baseball, I'm like, why do you want it? She's like, "Oh my God, your hands are so calloused. You must have been a really good pitcher." And she's like, "No, we lost in the first game, the game that the pitcher was like, cut it out because she was missing the ball." And she keeps repeating it throughout the episode. And I'm like, the more I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that's basically when she just gave up. And because everybody on the team got scouted, it's really weird for that to be true for that team. It was like the team was good enough to be scouted, but they got completely blown out in the game because everybody just gave up, and because one person was still trying, the other team just took advantage of that and just ran them through the coals. So it's like the more I think about it now after watching it and like wondering like why she kept repeating that, I get it. So the next basically, what was it? She does that, and then her the girl is like playing around with her hands. Her twin sister walks in, and she's like, "Hey, what did I tell you about fawning over people who mentioned the word baseball?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's like, "But check out her hands." And she's like, "Huh?" She's like, "Oh, wow, your hands are really callous." So they both start playing with her hand, and she's like, "Oh my God, how did I fall for this again?" So it's like the older twin like knows that they both get into that, but she can keep her composure unless her sister like tricks her into it. So that was funny for those two characters. Then when they start becoming friends, and as they're leaving, I don't know if they were going to lunch or something like that, the main character walks past her childhood friend, and like it's that scene where they like whoosh in slow motion, and then they pass each other. I keep punching the mic. Then yeah, so she's like, whatever her name is, "You telling me?" And she's like, "Oh my God, it's you!" And blah blah blah. And she's like, and then the other girl is into baseball, so she knows all the players. She's like, "Oh my God, you're from so and so middle school. You're like the best pitcher in the area, or catcher." And then she's like, "Oh, you kept up with that?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then she's like, "Oh, did you?" She's like, "Yeah, I played for this one team." And he's like, "Oh, how did you do in the thing?" He's like, "Oh, we lost in the first round." I'm like, quit saying that. So so she's like, "Oh, well, that's unusual, blah blah blah," and like I guess she'll figure it out in the coming episodes. But they she said something, and like it kind of led like a little bit to that promise that they made, and they're like, oh, well, we're about to go and play catch. You wanna come join us? And it's so weird. Like people who are like who play a sport and are really good at a sport, for them to do something that the average person who doesn't actually play that sport to do, you can see the difference in like the way that they do it. So when people are like, oh, let's play catch, you're like, oh yeah, cool. You get a ball and you just toss it and it's like, woo, woo. I'm like, yay, this is fun. Well, these two girls, they pull out their gloves because they're baseball players, and then she's like, all right, let's go. And they're just like, hoo-pa, hoo-pa, hoo-pa. And I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. And the other girls are just stunned, and they're like, wow, they're really actually good players. And then like the two people who are good at the sport, once they recognize each other's strengths, then they're like, all right, let's see how far we can push this. So then she starts getting into that pitcher stance where she like turns sideways, lifts up her leg, and just poof. And then she's like poof. And I'm like, this is getting heated. Y'all are supposed to be on lunch break. So then she's like, all right, hold on a second. And then she gets like some more gear, and she's like, give me all you got. So they're basically having a practice. I don't know. I can't remember why. I think they just said that the actual team is on hiatus for some reason. And they haven't explained that in the first episode, so I'm kind of curious, like, what's going on.
Reason?
Yeah. So, so they start actually playing, and the other girls are kind of left out. But she's like, I'll be the batter. So she goes over there, and as she's like walking up to them, they're talking about, they're like starting to reminisce about the past, and she's like, oh yeah, did you ever get that pitch that you were working on when we were younger? Like, did you ever get that work on that? And she's like, yeah. It's like, oh, let me see it. And like the other girls walking, it's like, I want to play too. Like completely oblivious about what's going on. And then she's like, okay. She gets real serious, gets in like her like actual playing stance, and then just like launches it. And the ball is like, it's going this way, and then like almost hit like the girl. She's like, dives out of the way. Her helmet goes flying, and the ball just like, phew, at this crazy sharp angle, and then she's like, whoop, like catches it like kapah, and I'm like, what just happened? I'm like, what kind of pitch is that? I don't know. I know curveball, fastball, changeup. I don't know if that's actually a pitch, but from playing games, you push like triangle is a fastball, square is a curveball, X is a changeup. Don't know what a changeup is, but I guess that's the name of the pitch. So, crap, I forgot the name of the pitch. No. What's the name of different types of pitches? I feel like I should Google it. But it's some kind of pitch that goes and it drops. But yeah, so it's like it's that type of pitch. I gotta Google it. It's that type of pitch, but it has like this crazy arcing motion. So it has this like crazy like dive. Okay, breaking ball. That's what it's called. Yeah, so she has this crazy breaking ball that like goes at the face of the person, and it like dives at this like crazy angle, and the other girl's like just like laid out on her butt, and she's like, "Are you trying to kill me?" And she's like, "No, I'm sorry, I'm trying this other thing." So she starts throwing it like over and over, and she's like, "Wait, do that again." So it's just pa pa pa, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. I don't know how many baseball animes I've watched, but I've never seen a pitch like this. So I'm like, this is what's going to take them to the championship. This is the pitch. No wonder that other girl like was pissed off, because she has this really, really great pitch, and she wanted to use it because she could have beat the girls that way, because her other pitches aren't like, they're mediocre. And for them playing in a tournament, I'm like, you have to have something unique. Like you have to have something that people can't hit as a pitcher. And none of her team supported it. So I can see why she quit. But now I'm like, within these 5 minutes that they've been playing, I'm like, she's definitely coming back to the team. Like, obviously. So they start practicing that pitch, and then the girl that almost got hit in the head, she comes back with like 2 helmets, three elbow pads on her arms. She comes with the umpire gear, like that big thing across her chest and on her legs. And she's like, all right. And she's like, this is gonna be my last one. And then she like just goes all in on it. And the other girl's like, ah! Kapow! And I'm like, oh my God. So then it cuts to the fence. And in the fence, you can see that there's 2 girls that are slightly older than the main characters, and they're just watching. And I'm like, oh, that's the old team. They're looking at the newbies that are going to be joining and scoping them out. Oh, God. So, I don't know. I'm excited. This always happens. Like, I watch the first episode, I'm like, and I never watch it. So, I probably won't. But it's cool. I love sports anime. That's why I get so hyped. So yeah, that was the first episode. I absolutely love the story so far. It's that thing that always hooks me in for sports anime. Like I played tennis when I was in high school. I was like the number 3 guy. I played varsity, played all the games, all that kind of stuff. So like I have experience with college, like high school sports, and a lot of this stuff I relate to. So it always pulls me in. Out of all the characters, I think I like the older twin that like is trying to like not be obvious that she's a baseball fanatic like her younger twin is. Because she's like, because I'm more refined than that, but then falls in to that trap anyway. And I don't know, like the catcher, she's cool too, because she's just I'm a catcher. I'm a really good catcher. That's what I do. And like she's just confident. So that's cool. Will I continue watching this? If my track record proceeds, then no. But I really want to watch it. And the standout moments is that my other favorite character almost got hit in the face twice because she throws some kind of magic crazy pitch, and that's basically what's going to win the tournament. Yeah. So that's all we have for the shows for spring 2020.
So many shows that I wish I could watch.
Yeah.
Or I'm missing watching. Others I'm glad I've not been having to watch. So.
But yeah. So we will be back. On the 31st.
31st?
5 weeks. And we'll be talking about the trailers for next season. So,
I think that's a rarity that we actually end at the end of or that we do it at the end of the month.
Yeah. I know that a lot of cool stuff was coming out in summer, and some of the cool stuff from this season got pushed back to then.
I think the one standout one that I remember seeing glancing over it was a new season for Higurashi.
I am so excited for Higurashi.
That scares the crap out of me.
Oh my God. I've been wanting a scary show for a long time. I thought that Gleipnir was going to be a scary show. But it's not. So, Yeah. So we got Dungeon 3. We got Higurashi 2020, which when they do that, I'm wondering, I'm like, is it the start of a new story? Is it a spinoff? Is it redoing the first series? It's done by a different studio. The original one was Dean, I think. So I'm curious. Got some more Haikyuu, which I only watched the first episode of the first season. This is what Haikyuu season 5 or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we got Dungeon from this season got moved there. Got Sword Art from this season got moved there. Yeah, I think the show that I'm most hyped about is Higurashi.
I don't know. That's the most concerning one for me. I have to say. I say concerning just because it's like it's been so long since Higurashi has come out, and I'm like, oh dear Lord. And you remember, since it's been so long, like when was the last Higurashi that came out? When was the last one?
Oh man, I want to say it's maybe 10 years.
Probably, I would say. So 10 years ago, Higurashi came out, or the last of Higurashi came out, because it came out before then, right?
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing: people blew their minds with Goblin Slayer and how dark and gritty that was. A lot of like now current anime fans. When this comes out, when Higurashi comes out, oh my. This is going to make everything else look tame in comparison. Because Higurashi is no joke.
Yeah.
You know, you could get away with watching like episodes of Goblin Slayer and being like, cool, I'm good for the day. If you watch an episode of Higurashi, you have to have something nice and funny to watch afterwards, because you're just gonna feel like you got stabbed in the heart, or just like you feel awful and almost scared from it because of how messed up it is. So yeah, I'm very much like I'm afraid what the internet's gonna react to when this comes out.
2009.
Yeah, 11 years ago.
Yeah, it predates this show by 5 years.
You know that within at least 10 years, you already have a whole new group of people watching anime from the ones that previously watched it. So the old timers that have watched this show are gonna be like, oh hell yeah, this is what we're talking about. The new people who have never seen this show are going to be like, oh my God, what is this? So, yeah, I'm concerned about that. I will say, I want to be excited for Dungeon. The last season was a little bit of a letdown. I'm hoping to see something better from them this season.
Yeah, the last season seemed like it was like the OVA.
Yeah, it just is like, y'all should have just y'all should have put that at the end of the other season as just like an extra. Honestly. We had so many cool fights and so many cool things that happened in the first season, and then the other okay, so I'll say we went from Goblin Slayer-esque fantasy to Konosuba fantasy season 2. Let's get back to the Goblin Slayer fantasy that we had in season 1, please. Thank you very much. So, I am, though, also very much, and I know this is because it got pushed back, but I am also very much excited for the new Sword Art. But just because of where they left off on the previous one.
Yeah, I got it.
And I'm also excited for the fact that the God of High School is happening.
So I saw that, but I don't know.
This is another one like the Tower of God.
Okay.
It is done by Mappa though this time, but it is. I mean, not
Ooh.
to go into it too much. This is another one that is based off a webcomic series.
Okay.
So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see new source material being put out there. I'm excited to see other people's ideas that probably never would have seen the light of day previously now being given their time to shine. That excites me. So, oh wait, whoa. I just saw that, and I didn't even realize it until I read the title fully. Monster Musume no Oishia-san?
Wait, what?
Wait, is it really? Is it? Because there was,
Oh.
and I see a reptile girl in there. Is this what I think it is? Did they seriously make a freaking like either prequel or sequel to that thing? Doesn't say that it has. Hmm.
I don't think it's the same monster.
No. Okay. No.
We talked about the other monster mystery on the show before.
That's why I looked at that and wait. I see Monster Musume. What? Okay. Either way. Nope. That seems like it's different, but it still seems cool. So that might be another new series that would be interesting to kind of watch.
Cool.
As long as it doesn't come out on Funimation.
All right. Well, that's it for today's show. We'll be back on May 31st to talk about the new season, all the trailers that have come out. And yeah, as always, this is DK and Shade from TacoYaki Anime. Always, thank y'all for watching. Thanks for hanging out in chat. Thanks for supporting the channel in any way that you do. And we will see y'all next time.